everyone, it's Miss Chhibber here, reading chapter 20 of How Winston Delivered Christmas, and this chapter is called A Nighttime Feast. Back in the food hall, Eduardo and Winston decided to make a late-night picnic. They washed their paws again at one of the sinks behind the food counters before Eduardo expertly started to put together a menu. It was Winston's job to follow him around and carry the increasingly tall and wobbly tower of food they were selecting. Their feast mainly consisted of cheese, lots and lots of different sorts. There was soft squidgy cheese, hard cheese, cheese with herbs in it, and cheese with holes so big that Winston could put his head through them. "I suppose," said Eduardo, "we oughtn't to have only cheese," and he popped a couple of crackers on the top of the tower of cheeses, then added a sliver of vegetable pie, some chunks of apple, several chocolate coins, and a large gingerbread biscuit iced with a snowflake design for pudding. "Marvellous!" cried Eduardo, thrilled with his selections. "Shall we eat?" Winston thought he'd never ask. The two new friends decided to set out their feast under the Christmas tree in the main hall. Eduardo had found a crisp white linen napkin, and they spread it out on the floor, piling the food on top of it. Despite the vast size of the department store entrance hall, it felt so cosy to be sitting under the tree in the gentle glow of the twinkling tree lights. Winston sat down and helped himself to a large chunk of the stinkiest cheese they had found. He was just about to put as much of it in his mouth as would fit, and maybe a bit more, when Eduardo turned to him. "Now forgive me, young chap," he said, "but I don't believe you told me what you're doing in my store on Christmas Eve. Shouldn't you be tucked up asleep at home?" Winston lowered his giant pawful of cheese and explained sadly that he didn't actually have a home. "Ah, I see," said Eduardo, taking a chomp out of a buttery cracker. "Well, I'm sure it wouldn't be a problem for you to live here. There's plenty of space, and it's jolly nice to have some company. Usually I'm just snoozing in my hamper or snooping on the letters in the post room. Terribly interesting." Letters. Post. Oh, crumbs! Winston suddenly remembered what he was meant to be doing. The letter. He'd been so busy with his bath and the picnic that he'd forgotten his important job. He looked around. The letter to Father Christmas was nowhere to be seen. A shiver of dread ran right up to the tip of his tail. He hopped up onto his feet and began pacing back and forth. "Oh, bother, bother, bother! I've lost it! It's gone!" he squeaked. "Whatever's the matter?" asked Eduardo. "What's gone?" "My letter! Well, not my letter, but the one I was carrying. It was a big envelope, and I had it with me, and now I don't." "Oh," cried Eduardo, catching on, "that tatty piece of paper. I tidied that away into my office before we went to get you all washed up before supper." Winston gasped. "I need to get it back." Quickly, the two new friends piled their picnic up in the napkin, and Eduardo slung it over his shoulder. They raced back to Eduardo's hamper. On the way, Winston twittered and squeaked his way through explaining his very important mission. Eduardo couldn't believe what he was hearing. When they got there, Eduardo handed the letter back to Winston. "Now I can deliver it to Father Christmas," said Winston, relieved. "I hope he's still here." Eduardo's brow wrinkled. "Here," he said. "In Fortesques?" "Yes," said Winston. "I saw an advert. Visit him in store today." Eduardo stopped, clambering back out of his hamper house. He looked crestfallen. Oh dear," he said sadly. "Come with me, Winston. I need to show you something very important."